Today on Shepherd's Workbench, we're doing this awesome kitchen setup with a live edge bar top, some shelves. I'm going to show you how to flatten a live edge slab, how to clean up the live edge slab, and how to do some awesome bow ties. So let's check it out. Okay, so we're going to start with this massive live edge slab. But the thing is, we need a long straight cut on the back side, and then we need square cuts on either end. Here's how you get that. First, start by measuring the one end, and you want to mark it right in the middle. So for instance, this slab is 22 inches wide on this end, so I'm going to put a mark at 11 inches. Then I'm going to come down on this end, and this end is 42 inches. So I'm going to put a mark at 21 here. Then what I'm going to do is make a straight line that connects two midpoints. Once I make those connections, I can measure off that center line back on this side and on that end to create one long straight cut. That is going to give me the straight cut on the back side that's going to go against the wall. So we started off with this. We ended with that. So now this is our live edge slab. That's going to be our bar top. So this is our live edge side. This is all the bark. Even though it's really tight on there, you got to get it off. There's not really epoxy or anything like that that's really going to sustain it to where it's going to hold onto the live edge slab anyway, which is why most of the time you don't see bark on them. But here's the difference. This is the loose bark. This down here, I've already attacked with my draw knife. It's still bark. This darker part is still part of the bark, and that's gotta go. You wanna get it down to where you can start to see this lighter colored sapwood. Once you've done that, then you've totally eliminated the bark, and you can sand it down. Well, that was a big old mess, but we got most of the bark off. Now I know, I already told you, this dark part is still bark, but you can kind of see where I got the sapwood just poking through with that draw knife. There are some spots, like on this little elbow here, it's probably a little bit more bark than I wish I would have, but we've gotten to a point where we're gonna start attacking with some really heavy grit sandpaper. I'm gonna start with 80 and work my way up to 120. Random orbit sander was taking too long. Okay, so this slab was super rough, as you saw, and it also had a pretty good twist to it. I was going to take it somewhere that was a big mill that could flatten it for me, but they wanted $150 just a setup fee and then $75 an hour from there to flatten both sides. What? So I decided to make a router sled out of just some scrap MDF and maple ply that I had left over from my French cleat wall and just a piece I had laying around the shop for a long time. The rails work great. It's a super simple build on some close-up shots up here. I just did a 3-inch tall fence that slides into my T-track on my assembly table. Also made it so I could pull these bolts out so I could clamp it so it overhangs the assembly table as I had to do with this large slab. But the flattening bit that I got, it left a pretty rough finish. It's got some big ridges in it, but I already tested it with a belt sander, and the belt sander will take them out real easy. So now that we got it flat on the bottom side first. So we flipped it over and then did our top side second. So what we're gonna do is flip it back over, sand the bottom side first with the belt sander. I'm gonna leave that probably rough sanded around 120. Then we'll flip it back over, sand the top all the way up to 220 and making sure we sand our live edge. I'm also going to take this end of the slab and we're actually going to fake a live edge to round that corner so it's not such a sharp corner. We're going to do that fake live edge with a sanding flat disc. Let's get to sanding and shaping. Okay, so I am working on the long shelf that's going to go above the doorway. This is the design. We're working on this shelf. The piece here has a crack in it. And so what we need to do is we need to stabilize that crack so it doesn't keep getting bigger as wood expands and contracts. So we need a bunch of bow ties. These are going to be maple bow ties. And what I did is I drew out my lines here. This is a 15-degree angle. But we're going to cut these out on the bandsaw. Then we will we'll put some blue painter's tape and we'll mark out where we're going to route out our bow ties. All right, so I got the placement of all my bow ties on these pieces of masking tape. So we're going to take a piece of masking tape like this, sticky side up, stick our bow tie to the bottom of that. Then on our bench, not on our piece, take a marking knife and cut out the tape. Okay. So then when we do that, we should have some pretty clean lines to rip off our tape, but there's still tape on the bottom. And we do that, so we take our CA glue and activator, put glue on the bottom, just a dab will do ya. Activator, where we want the bow tie to go, and set it in place. Hold it for a second. Now it's stuck there long enough so we can take our marking knife and we're going to cut out the tape below it, but you want to press hard enough that you're marking the workpiece underneath the tape. Then you can pull the tape up and you've got nice clean lines. So what we'll do is we'll cut out majority of the waste with a router, clean it up with a chisel, and we'll glue them in. All right, so our bow ties look good for the most part. We've got a couple areas where there's like gaps where it wasn't quite perfect. So the way we're gonna fix that is just with some regular wood glue. Kind of spread it around right by the gaps, just like that, and kind of mash the glue in there. So now, while the glue is wet, take your sandpaper, this is 120 grit, and the sawdust will fill in all those holes with glue, just like that. So we rub the mineral spirits to clear off the slab. While that's drying, we're gonna mix up our finish, which we're gonna use Rubio Monocoat Pure. I've never used Rubio before, but I wanna see what all the hype is about. So I bit the bullet and bought some. I'll also leave some affiliate links down below. It's a great way to support the channel. If you're buying this stuff to do this project, it's a great way to support me and continue supporting the content that I create here. So check out those links below. Now that all our pieces are finished, we gotta let it dry for 24 hours, but the next time I see you, we'll be installing.